Your baby isn't giving you a hard time. Why newborns sometimes won't settle and what actually helps. It is 2:30 in the morning. You are walking through the living room holding a crying baby. You have fed them, you have changed them, you have burped them twice. You have rocked them, bounced them, sung 3 different lullabies, and made a shh sound for so long that you are beginning to feel slightly dizzy. And still, your baby is crying. At some point, a frightening thought enters your mind. What am I doing wrong? Maybe everyone else received some secret parenting instructions that you somehow missed. Maybe your baby is unusually difficult. Or maybe, and this thought can be especially painful, your baby simply doesn't feel safe with you. If you have ever one of these thoughts, this episode is for you. Because a baby who cannot settle is not proof that you are failing. It is usually a baby whose immature nervous system is struggling with something and who needs your help to move through it. Hello and welcome back. I'm a midwife and psychology student, and today we're talking about one of the most exhausting parts of life with the newborn. What do you do when your baby simply will not settle? We will talk about why crying affects us so strongly, why doing more can sometimes make things worse, and how to create the conditions that help a newborn's nervous system gradually turn to calm. But before we begin, an important reminder. This episode offers general information, not medical advice. That would be individual. If your baby cry suddenly sounds unusual, your baby is difficult to wake, has trouble breathing, refuses feeds, repeatedly vomits, develops a fever, or simply seems unwell, seek medical help and trust your instinct. You never need to apologize for asking a healthcare professional to check your baby. Why the cry feels like an emergency. A newborn's cry is not designed to be pleasant. It is designed to be impossible to ignore. When your baby cries, your body may react before your thinking brain has time to understand what is actually happening. Your heart rate increases, your muscles become tense, your attention narrows. You might feel hot, restless, or almost desperate to make the sound stop. This is not because you are too sensitive. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It has organized a signal that says a vulnerable human needs attention. But this creates an interesting situation. The baby's nervous system becomes overwhelmed and sends out an alarm. The parent hears the alarm and their nervous system becomes overwhelmed too. Now we have 2 distressed nervous systems in the same room, waiting for the other one to calm down. And this is where the parents often begin doing more. We rock faster, we bounce harder, we speak louder, we change positions, we offer another feed, we switch on music, we walk into a different room. Then we go back into the first room because that didn't work. Everything comes from love. But to an overstimulated newborn, it can feel like the world is becoming even bigger, louder, and less predictable. So the first principle of calming a newborn is surprisingly simple. Before you add something, consider what you can remove. Your baby has just changed worlds. Try to imagine your baby's experience. For months they lived in dark, warm and contained environment. They heard the rhythm of a heartbeat. They felt the movement of a body. There was a constant background sound. And whether they moved, they met a physical boundary. Then they were born. Suddenly there are lights, voices, clothing, hunger, temperature changes, and huge amounts of open space. Their digestive system has new work to do. Their lungs are breathing air. Their skin is constantly receiving new information, and they have no understanding of what any of that means. We sometimes imagine that newborns arrive as tiny versions of adults, and they do not. A newborn cannot think, I am feeling slightly overstimulated. I should close my eyes and take a short break. They also cannot deliberately manipulate you. They cannot create a strategic plan to ensure that you carry them all evening. They simply experience discomfort or overwhelm, and they communicate it with the only powerful tool they have, crying. This is why the question is not always, how do I stop the crying? Sometimes a better question is, what is my baby's nervous system trying to manage right now? First, check the obvious things. Before we explore emotional regulation, always check the physical basics. Could your baby be hungry? Check. Do they need a clean diaper? Check. Could they be too warm or too cold? Check. Do they need to burp? Check. Is something pressing against their body? Check. Is the clothing uncomfortable? Check. Occasionally, something as small as a twisted sleeve or a strand of hair around a finger or toe can cause distress. But there is a common trap, assuming that every cry means hunger. Newborns do not feed frequently, and feeding is also comforting, but crying can mean so many things. A tired baby can look hungry. An overstimulated baby can search for the breast because sucking helps them regulate. And the baby who wants closeness may still make movements that resemble feeding cues. So pause and look at the whole baby. What happened before they started crying? How long had they been awake? Are they turning the head away? Are their movements becoming jerky? Are they spreading their fingers and clutching their fists? Have there been visitors, bright lights, and many different people holding them? The cry is only one part of the message. The rest of the body is speaking to you too. Make the world smaller. If your baby seems overwhelmed, begin by simplifying the environment. Dim the lights, lower your voice, turn off the television, move away from the crowded room. Ask other people to give the baby some space. And most importantly, stop changing strategies every few seconds. Imagine that you are already overwhelmed and someone repeatedly changes the sound, light, temperature, and position of your body. Even if every change is intended to help, your brain still has to process each one. Instead, choose one calm environment and stay there for a moment. You do not need to entertain a distressed newborn. You need to make the world feel predictable. There is also no rule saying you must constantly speak. Sometimes your quiet presence is more regulating than a stream of loving words. You can hold your baby close and simply breathe. Give the body boundaries. After reducing stimulation, create a sense of physical containment. You might hold your baby firmly against your chest. You might offer skin-to-skin contact, or if your baby is young enough and not showing signs of trying to roll, you might use a safe swaddle. Containment does not work because we are trying to restrain the baby. It works because newborns are accustomed to physical boundaries. Their arms and legs no longer feel as they are flying through unlimited space. The startle reflex becomes less disruptive and the body receives a clearer message about where it begins and where it ends. But babies are individuals. Some love having their arms securely contained. Others prefer their hands close to their face. Watch your baby rather than fighting them into a technique that certainly makes them more distressed. And if you swaddle, remember the safety rules. A swaddled baby must always be placed on their back to sleep. The hips and legs must be able to bend and move. Never use a weighted swaddle. And stop swaddling as soon as your baby shows signs of attempting to roll. Add one predictable rhythm. Once the environment is calmer and your baby feels physically supported, add one slow, repetitive sensation. You could sway gently from side to side. Walk at a steady pace, but rhythmically. Make a continuous shh sound, or use gentle, consistent white noise. The secret is not finding one magical technique that works for every baby. The secret is repetition and predictability. Give the technique a little time. Parents understandably become impatient when the baby is crying. If something does not work immediately, we want to change it. But nervous systems do not always move from full alarm to perfect calm in 10 seconds. Sometimes the crying becomes slightly less intense first. The baby movements slow down. Their hands begin to open. Their breathing becomes more regular. These small changes matter. Look for gradual softening, not only complete silence. Your baby borrows your nervous system. This is perhaps the most important part. A newborn cannot regulate strong emotions and physical sensations alone. They depend on co-regulation. In simple language, your baby temporarily borrows regulation from you. This does not mean that you need to become a perfectly calm, permanently smiling parent. That person doesn't even exist. It means that your body can communicate safely even when you feel distressed. Slow your movements, drop your shoulders, unclench your own jaw. Breathe out a little longer than you breathe in. Lower your voice. Hold the baby securely rather than nervously changing your grip. You are not pretending that everything is wonderful. You are offering the baby a stable nervous system to lean against. And please hear this. If you feel frustrated, angry, or desperate, that does not make you a bad parent. It means your nervous system has reached its limit. If your baby is safe, it is okay to place them on their back in the safe cot and step away for a few minutes. Take a breath, drink some water, call someone, ask your partner to take over. A baby crying safely in the cot for a few minutes is way safer than being held by an adult who feels they are losing control. Never ever shake a baby. Asking for help is not failure. Sometimes it is the most protective parenting decision you can make. Sometimes the baby still cries. Now we come to the part that nobody likes to say out loud. You can do everything correctly and your baby may still cry. We are often sold the idea that every baby has a secret button. If you discover the right swaddle sound and feeling position or sleep routine, the crying will stop. But babies are not machines. Some healthy babies have periods, often in the evening, naturally, when they cry intensely and are extremely difficult to soothe. This can be normal, but it can still be incredibly hard. During these moments, success may not mean stopping the crying. Success might mean keeping your baby safe, staying close, offering comfort, and reminding yourself this is difficult, but it will not last forever. Your presence still matters even when it does not immediately produce silence. Comfort is not unsuccessful simply because the sadness continues. Think about an adult who is grieving. We would never say that sitting beside them was pointless because they continued to cry. Sometimes another person cannot remove that feeling. They can only make sure we do not exist and experience it alone. Your newborn may need exactly the same thing. So, when your baby will not settle, try to remember the sequence. First, check the physical basics. Check. Then, make the words smaller and quieter. Check. So, when your baby will not settle, try to remember this sequence. First, check the physical basics. Checks. Then, make the world smaller and quieter. Check. Create gentle containment. Check. Add one slow, predictable rhythm. Check. And allow your baby to borrow calm from your body. Check. Do not measure your parenting by how quickly you can stop every cry. It does not work this way. Crying is not a performance review. It is a communication. Your baby is not crying to give you a hard time. Your baby is having a hard time. And when you stay close, respond and keep them safe, you are already doing something deeply important. You are teaching their developing nervous system. When the world becomes too much, I do not have to face it alone. If this episode helped you, send it to parents who might be listening to their baby cry at this time and is wondering whether they are doing something wrong. And tell me what helps your baby settle most. Movement, swaddling, sucking, skin to skin, or simply being held. In the next episode, we will talk about how to recognize the difference between hungry, tired, and overstimulated baby. Thank you for listening, and remember, your baby does not need a perfect parent. They need a present one. They need you.